Your wedding day's coming up. You have a lot to get ready for. You need to plan your wedding, but after your wedding, guess what happens? It's a honeymoon, and hopefully you're going to take a really nice trip for your honeymoon. Today's special guest is Amanda Howard.
Hi.
From a travel agency.
Yes, I am a certified travel agent.
Paycation?
Yes, I'm with Paycation, but I'm own and operate my own business, and I can book just about anything. Your destination wedding, your honeymoon, your concert tickets, sporting event tickets, you name it. I can book it. If you want to go on a cruise for your honeymoon, or you want to go to a all-inclusive resort, you know, no one wants to cook on their honeymoon. I didn't. I can book that all. Yeah.
Well, let's get to the weddings in a second, because that's just the wedding show. But so if I want to go see the San Francisco 49ers, you could get the tickets?
I can get the tickets.
Because I have no idea how to go about getting the tickets.
Yeah.
I just start Googling or something like that.
Yeah, I can do that. Disney tickets.
Disney?
Legoland tickets. Yeah, I have access to all of that.
Is it better to get them in advance than to just show up?
Which ones?
Let's say Legoland or Disney or something?
Not necessarily. Disney has its peak times and its lower times, so planning the trip, I would always recommend in advance. That way,
So a professional travel agent would know those peak times and when it might be a little slower and stuff.
Yes.
I went to Disneyland on a rainy day. It was the best trip ever because nobody was there. It was just, we got all wet, but we bought the little ponchos, you know, with the Walt Disney or the Mickey Mouse on them. My kids loved the ponchos and had a great trip to Disneyland. Now, destination weddings. It seems like every wedding I went to this year was a destination wedding. And should the bride work with the travel agent so that the wedding parties can all stay in the same place?
Yes, absolutely. Please. No matter where that wedding is taking place, where your wedding is, if it's Hawaii, if it's down the coast, as an agent, I can get those group bookings in your hotel and work with you on that, get you maybe a little bit better rate.
Wow.
So it's very helpful to work with an agent and things like that, and it can take a lot of the stress off on you.
So the bride can say, you know, we're inviting 200 people and I'm going to give them all your number. Something like that?
Yeah.
So you can get as
We
many...
can work out a deal with the Choice Hotel, and if they want to book their room there, then we would go from there.
Yeah, and it's very popular in a destination wedding.
Yes.
So is there a great honeymoon spot that you can recommend for brides?
You know, I wouldn't recommend one spot, because the thing about travel is that every time you go somewhere new, you're opening up your mind and you're opening up your taste buds. I love tasting new food. So when I went to France, when I went to Mexico, when I went to Puerto Rico, it's all very different, and everyone has their own style. Some people like to stay local. I wanted to go out of the country. So everyone has their own personal taste. So I wouldn't recommend one place. I would prefer to sit down and see what the interests are and what could be planned according to that.
And budget, I would imagine.
Yes, budget is very important. Please set a budget, because I like to work with people within their budgets. I don't want it to break the bank, but I do want to get you to somewhere you would enjoy.
Yeah, and for the brides out there, I always thought, well, I can't even afford a honeymoon, but we got so much money at the wedding as gifts that we had a really nice honeymoon. And
Well,
we didn't have to scrimp. And
you know, the good thing about a travel agent, too, is that a lot of the vendors that I use, and I really use all of them, from Carnival to Norwegian, Sandals, Hard Rock, you name it, I have access to all of them. A lot of them offer payment plans through a travel agent.
wow, payment plan would be good, and even you could start paying it in advance.
Yeah, it breaks it down into 2 or 3 payments depending on the vendor. So that's really helpful when you're considering your budget as well.
Is there ever a chance for the bride and groom, if they're having a big destination wedding, that their room would come, you buy enough rooms or something?
It depends maybe on where they're going, what they're doing, or are they doing a wedding on a cruise? It really depends on the scenario, but there's a chance that their room could be complimentary, at least for part of it, if not all of it.
Wedding on a cruise, that's a great idea. Huh?
Yeah.
Usually our relatives are fighting so much by the end of the wedding that, you know, somebody would be off the boat. We now, I have a group of friends, off the wedding topic, but on the travel. You don't get a travel agent just sitting there giving you free information that often, so this is great.
Oh, I give information all the time.
So my friends and I, we all want to go on a cruise, so we're trying to think of some cruise club or something. We each put in $20 a week or $100. I don't know how much cruises cost for, you know, the year, and then once a year we all go on a cruise. Would a travel agency or a cruise line accommodate that kind of club, or would we have to set up our own little treasury?
I would Well, the great thing is deposits for cruises are typically lower, and then you can make your installment payments, and that's the way I would do it. I would maybe set up a savings account and then make your deposit, and then make your payments according to the schedule, which you would be given. This, you'll pay this much on this day, this much on this day.
So it's usually 3 payments or something?
Yeah, it's typically 2 to 3 payments depending on who you want to go through.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to do a group, and we're going to call you on it. There's a group of
Okay.
people here in the Tower District, and we're going to all go on a cruise. We've been talking about for a year, so we just need a contact and somebody to,
Yeah.
make it happen and twist our
Yeah,
arm
give
a
me a
little bit.
call.
And so there's a lot of good cruises out of California.
There are.
Like the-
Mexico, Hawaii, Alaska is touch and go. That one depends on the weather because you don't want to get stuck, with,
Yeah.
with the
Don't want
weather
to get
there.
frozen. Now, a lot of them go from Long Beach, or are they San Diego cruises?
A lot of the ones I've seen go from LA, so you're not obviously going to go out of Fresno, so you're going to
Yeah.
need to make plans to get down to LA if you're going to go out on a cruise, or if there is a port up north, you would need to again make plans to be able to get transportation up there.
And I mean, when we could drive 3 or 4 hours and be there, I mean, sometimes it takes us longer that to fly because you got to
Go through
go
security.
through security, all that kind of
Yes.
stuff. So, and you have to have a passport now.
If you are going out of the country, please get a passport. And in fact, we were just talking about this. Some of the government issued IDs are going through this thing where they're not up to par. So when you get your passport, make sure to get it early. Make sure that if you already have one, that it's valid for at least 6 months past your travel date. That way you know that you're good. Some of the other things that you would want, that I recommend you do from personal experience, get a passport holder. It keeps it together. You can wear it under your shirt. Some of them you can wear like in your pocket or like a fanny pack.
You can have one like on a little chain or something.
Yeah, like a
Can't
lanyard.
lose it. You're not going to lose it.
I had one on a lanyard, and also take a copy of your passport so that way if it gets lost or stolen, you have that with you in the event of any problems. And don't keep all your money together. Again, that way if something happens, you're not left stranded. Keep it somewhere, you could sew. I've heard of people doing things like sewing secret pockets in their pants just to hide their valuables and keep it separate, just because depending on where you go, theft is higher, obviously. And some of the other things that you're going to want to do if you're going out of the country, check with your doctor to see if there might be additional vaccines that you need, because there are some that we don't need regularly, but if you go somewhere like Africa, you might need a different immunization, or the Bahamas.
Or Brazil.
Yes. And one tip that I heard recently, and this might be a little iffy for newlyweds, but if you think about it, it makes sense. Don't wear your real rings on a trip. Get a fake pair. That way, if they get lost or stolen again, you're not out the money from the diamonds and the.
We all do pretty well walking down the street in our own city. But there's other places, some places you go to are a lot rougher.
Yeah, and if you're like me, my wedding ring is very sentimental, so I don't want to lose it. So if you just go buy a cheap set from Walmart or Target and something happens, then you're not going to get upset. You don't have to worry about the insurance claim, things like that. And then when you're planning your trip, please get trip insurance. I cannot actually stress that enough. For instance, my sister was going to different countries, and then they were taking a cruise. She got sick, and they had to hospitalize her, and then she came home early. Well, she was able to get a partial refund for the trip, part of the trip that she did not get to use. Or, things happen, emergencies that stop you from going on the trip.
So that could get it paid for. You're not out the trip or out the money.
Yeah, you're not out,
Not all
at
of it
least,
anyway.
yeah, at least not all of it. It's just you have car insurance, you have homeowners or renters insurance, you have disability insurance. Get trip insurance. You're spending probably a good amount of money, so make sure that money is insured just in case life happens.
Yeah, it does. Happens a lot. Now, we went on a cruise. My cousin, a girl, she's going with half the group, and I took the other half of the group. My cousin's always late, so of course they missed the boat. And so they rented a limo to get them down to Ensenada or whatever we went to next. So it was a miserable thing. So, but trip insurance, what if you have a flat tire and miss the boat? that could get you covered,
Or
hopefully.
family emergency, you know, things just out of, and in my family, people I know have personally experienced that so much that I always include it
Is it real
in my
expensive?
quote. Typically, it's not that expensive. It depends on, again, the trip. It could be anywhere from $50 a person to $100 a person. It depends,
It's
but
not bad, yeah. And
$50
you're
to
spending thousands on that
$100.
vacation. You know,
Right, it's
you know.
really a moot point when you're talking about saving thousands if something were to happen.
Okay. What else do brides need to know, or travelers?
I would say your luggage. Don't pack everything in the same bag. Okay.
So if you lose your bag,
Personal-
you lose it all. I see. I never
Yes,
thought of
personal storage. Keep your medications in your carry-on. Keep a change of clothes in your carry-on. I went to France and I had 2 suitcases. Got one, and that one had gifts for the person I was staying with. The other one had all my clothes, except for what was in my carry-on. So I had to wait a day or two to get the rest of my clothing. So if you break up your clothing into your different bags and you keep
that. Don't put all your shoes in one bag or all your shirts in one bag. Just spread them. That's a good idea.
Yes. So those are some of my tips that I recommend people do. It just kind of make sure that you have clothes, you have your insurance in case something happens, your medications, all the important things that you have to have. Make sure to keep it.
Carry-on, you usually don't lose the carry-on easily. It's with you all
Yeah,
the time. Through the
usually
airport,
not.
into the overhead.
Usually
And
not.
Now, are there now limitations and weights you could take when you travel?
There are limitations, you know. Airlines are now charging, of course, for the bags. I think Southwest, which we don't have out of Fresno, is the only one that still doesn't. Weights and the bag requirements change whether you're going domestic or international. So it's always changing. So you always want to check
on that, yeah.
check on that before you go.
A friend of mine went to the airport with his bag because they have a thing you could stick the bag in at the airport to see the size. And he went down weeks in advance and just checked his bag. I guess he only wanted to take one bag, so.
And if you're worried about the weight too, they actually sell, I have one, a little handle that you attach to the top of the suitcase and you can lift
Test
it up
the
and
weight.
it'll weigh it for you. So you could always pack that with you too, you know, if you're buying a bunch of souvenirs, so that way you can distribute the weight between your bags and save you a heavy bag fee.
Some luggage fee, yeah. That's
Yeah.
right. Well, if you're only paying it one way, I mean, you want to buy a bunch of stuff on your trip, so maybe just one way. You don't pay going out, but coming back, you could pay a little extra. I've shipped stuff home UPS before, too, just
Yeah, you can do that.
because I don't like to carry suitcases. I go with one shirt, buy a couple on my trip, and then ship it all back UPS. But I'm a lazy traveler.
I don't do that. I take a lot of luggage.
Men have life easy, trust me. It's much easier to be a man. Throw on a shirt and
Believe
pants
it.
and you're on the trip. Anything else you want to share with brides? How do they reach you? That's important.
Well, they can reach me on my website at monarchtravel.paycation.com. They can also give me a call. My number's on the website, but it's 559-708-3991. And my email address is also Amanda.Howard, so my first and last name, 0510@yahoo.com.
Yeah. And I have Amanda's number. If you're watching, a lot of people watch at work and they can't write stuff down. They're not supposed to be watching. They listen at work. They're typing and it's on the background of their computer. Call me. I'll give you Amanda's number. If you're going to travel for a wedding or anything, right? You want to go
Yeah.
see a ball game or a sporting event?
And you
or
don't even have to be
Legoland?
local.
Yeah.
You can live in Florida, and I can still do it. Yeah.
World Wide Web, isn't that great? All right, Amanda Howard. It's monarchtravel.paycation.com.
Yes, it is.
We'll be back with more of the wedding show right after this.